Welcome to Helsinki again, MJ.
Thank you.
Really great to see you here. Can you introduce yourself?
I am MJ. You can call me Milapsinh Jadeja. I come from India and I'm the founder of iRoller Capital Private Limited and now also part of a fund that we've just set up in Luxembourg by the name of Metl Ventures. Thanks to Helsinki partners for having me here.
Hello, my name is Tian Yu. I'm Senior Advisor, VC and ERP from Helsinki Partners. So we're a city health marketing, talent, and investment attraction company. I connect international investors to what is being built here in Helsinki. So MJ,
Yes.
today's all about you and about
you.
your story, what you have built here. Can you tell a bit who are you?
Well, who are you? It's a very wide question. But what do I do? Where I come from? So first of all, thank you. Thanks, Tian, again for having me here. Tian is the first person. You are the first person with whom I spoke over the call after receiving the email that we would like to have you here for the Venture Nordics program in Finland, in Helsinki.
To be fair, Banu was in that call too.
And Panu as
Yes.
well. Yes, correct. So I come from India. I'm a first generation entrepreneur. My dad is a retired banker. And when I also talk about my dad, because he also plays a very important role of pulling me back at times when I used to be too enterprising, too much dreaming. He was the one who used to come and balance me off and raise the right questions. Started my journey as early as 1993 when I dropped out of college before realizing at 40 that I needed to study again. Between 92 and 1998, I was struggling, trying to find means and ways how to build business. I left college because I always thought I never want to do college or specialize because that would limit my growth. Always wanted to get into any form of business at every point of time. So 92 to 98 was like a struggling period to figure out what to do, especially when you're not specializing in education. What you would do is what your friends are doing, what your network is doing, what you learn from the circle, and that's where you try and start exploring. 1996, I get a chance. I was 22 at that time, and I exactly remember the date, May 5th. It was May again, and potentially May has played a very important role for me whenever I've changed things or evolved as a human being. I go to this convention in Las Vegas. It was the International Scrap Recycling Institute exhibition. They were working on scrap, and there was a meet of variety of people from the industry. India has been a net importer of non-ferrous metal scrap from the US, from Dubai, from Singapore. And an uncle of mine shared the potential that how would it be if you would want to explore this business. So I go to Las Vegas. I'm the youngest one there, 22. People are watching me. What is this young guy doing here? I meet people. I try to understand the markets, how they work, how the aggregation of scrap happens, how they export it back to India, come back to India, and then meet the consumers who are importing this scrap. And that's how it began in my early stage. Started importing, then got into manufacturing, got into centrifugal castings, ran that business for 10 years, sold that business in 2008. That was my first exit in 2008, where I built a business and sold the business at that point of time.
And you were just in your early 30s?
I was 34 at that time. So I sold that business. Of course, those 10 years were the years which built me as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, the challenges that I faced, economic challenges, work-related challenges, things that we did not know about because I was never a certified MBA nor had that entrepreneurial experience. So everything was happening by experience as and when you do it. So you pay a very high price for that, when you are building something new. So I did have my good and bad share of experiences in that particular period. At the end of the day, yes, I gained a lot. May not be economically, but in terms of experience, in terms of people, in terms of relationships, in terms of exploitation. So it was a good learning experience till 2008. 2008 till 2012, again, I was trying to figure out what next. My cousins, they were all into food business. I jumped into food business and started a restaurant. And that actually, so wherever I go, I talk about Indian food and explore all of the kind of food is that it comes from that experience. In 1 year, I realized that no, it's not cut out for me, or maybe I am not cut out for that business. It was not scalable enough. It just wanted me to sit at that place from morning to evening, and I kind of would not grow. But I remember I sold many chocolates at that time. The name of the place was Chocolatory. So it was like chocolates and a bakery cafe kind of thing. And then I sold a lot of chocolates, and my love for chocolate still is there.
Yeah.
2010, I was getting into my late 30s. That's when you start thinking about what do I do for my country, what do I do for my nation, and I got into agriculture. I did my diploma in agri-entrepreneurship at that time, and we sold poly houses all over India. 2012, the policy changes. I'm searching for something new again. That time, between 2009 and 2012, India had a huge transition towards the renewable energy. We had signed the Copenhagen Treaty. Our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, had a great commitment to become the highest renewable energy producing nation of the world. So there were many solar projects, renewable energy projects coming to India, large developers coming to India. I get a chance to support one of those projects to figure out land, liaison, get the permissions for them, and the challenge which still lies today, right? So a lot of the world is wanting to get into India today, but they're afraid about the complexity and the diversity that India carries. So it's all about choosing the right partner at the right time. So I get chosen by this company called Solar Semiconductors in Hyderabad. The principals were all of them in the US. We aggregated land for them. We helped them get the approvals, do the liaison work, do the dirty work on the land. Actually, when you don't know the localites, in particular, how they would react to such a development.
Yeah.
And when you are a growing nation, an emerging market, people feel that, oh, foreigners are going to come by, they will take away all the opportunities, how will we be employed? So there's a fear at both the ends. So I used to act as a bridge between both of them, and we set up one of the largest solar projects in Gujarat, which was a 20 megawatt project, which is still doing well. So that was till 2012, 2013. 12 to 2016, I was pretty much into pharmaceuticals, because at 2012, again, I was trying to figure out what next. And I remember my wife telling me one fine day that, will you ever stick to one thing in your life? Every 3 years, you keep on changing things. And when my friends ask me, what does your husband do? I need to go back and see, let me go and check with him again if he's not up to something new. So that's how, so 2012, 13, I get into the pharmaceutical business. A friend of mine had a factory in the northern part of India.
Everything that is popular now in the
In a way.
industry, you are the university dropout,
Yeah.
and you are a super early entrepreneur,
Yeah.
and you are serial entrepreneur, founder,
Lifetime.
builder, everything. You are VC, so
Yeah.
there are so many more,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
creative, curiosity. You have all the good qualities, Renee.
But you know,
Make you
Tian, you don't know while you are building all of this. I just said that every 3 years I was trying to do something new, and people would come to me and say, "Hey man, so where's your new office?" So it was more like teasing me for my failures rather than I was trying to do something new, and that's how the world is, right? You don't blame them. So 2014, 13, 14, I get into pharma. There's this beautiful factory, huge factory, which used to make tablets, capsules, dry powder injections, ointments, syrups. It was like a pharma mall. So I go there, and I was asking myself before taking that decision that should I do something new again, which I've never done in life. But then I felt, okay, who also gets paid for trying to do something new? And that time was the most difficult period of my life. In 2014, I was 40 at that time, right? And I was trying to still, in a way, ask myself, when do I be stable enough to continue and doing, one thing permanently? But
And
somehow,
why should you do one thing permanently?
yeah, now I know that answer. But at that time, when you are being questioned by so many people around you, you always tend to lose that confidence, and you are wanting to justify your entrepreneurship. That, oh, I am a successful entrepreneur, because you all want to tell that story, how good you have been. But 3 years, 2 years, maybe at times it was a very short period for people to believe in you, because when you keep on changing things, people have a perception, oh, this guy doesn't stick to anything. I took that more as a challenge, and I was constantly trying to, I would say, kind of, you need to take approval. You feel that you need to take approval from the society, from the people you live with, because if they don't approve of what you do, the contentment factor at times, it does not help you. But then when you look into yourself, and it's also more of a personal evolution that happens, that you stop worrying about the world anymore.
Yeah.
And you just do keep on doing things that you want to do in life and experience in life. So that is what then happened from 2014, 15. I run that company. And that's when I felt that I should be validated, because I was an acting CEO of a company. But then I go back and ask myself, what's your education? I was not educated enough at that time. I mean, in terms of a degree, in terms of a certificate, though I had a lot of experience, that was the basis why I was chosen. But then I still needed that certificate and validation. So I go to London Business School in 2015. I do a short program on private equity and strategy, and learn about this beautiful world of private equity, VC, valuation, startups, which I never knew of. That was my first entry to Europe, to come to London and understand how fascinating this world is and how money can be really multiplied. Profit is not the only game. Value is also something that counts. Till that time, everybody, and including me, we were only running for profit, sustaining, surviving, profits. I never thought about value at that time. So that's what London Business School taught me, value. Then I then I did a short program not a short program, actually, it was a dual MBA in pharmaceutical management. So I did my MBA in pharmaceutical management from UC San Diego and Ahmedabad University. Again, in the interview, I remember this professor asking me that this is an MBA program. You are not a graduate. How do we take you on board? That also happened to be their first program. And I said, I am not worried about the certificate that I get. I don't want a degree. But why would you want to keep me devoid of the education that is going to validate the profession that I'm already into? I'm a CEO of a pharma company leading 200 people. I have the experience. Why would not you help me calibrate what I do operationally? So they chose me, and I was lucky to be chosen for that program, and I got very good grades as well. It was a 2-year program. So that validated and calibrated the operational work that I was doing on the pharma side. 2017, I read this beautiful book by Ray Dalio. It's called The Principles.
Yeah.
And I always quote that because that's the book that changed my life in a way. And Ray Dalio mentions in that book that write down the things that you don't want to do in life. And Principles talks about not morals as an individual. It talks about what are the things that you really don't want to do, but you still end up doing. Then if you list them down properly, and then you will choose not to do them, then you will perform your best, because you're only doing the things that you want to do in life. So I started writing that down and based on my last, 20-25 years of good and bad experiences, I write down, okay, I don't want to do partnerships. I don't want to get into things which occupies my full day. I don't want to get into operations, so on and so forth. And I don't want to be my business dependent on me every time. I don't want my team to be dependent on me. I don't want to go to office from 9 to 6 p.m. I want to be a free bird and do multiple things. Finally, I get down to the list, I show it to my wife, and my wife tells me, you better get retired, because there is nothing that you can do now after putting up that list. And
you proved she's wrong.
And now she agrees to that. And then I got into investments. I read another book by Jason Calacanis, who was a super angel investor. The name of the book was Angel. And it said that do 100 investments, put $3,000 each, and you learn how angel investment works. So that's how my angel investment journey started.
So much exploration you have just basically kind of described in your journey.
Sure.
I remember in our first call, and I still, every time we have the call, if you sit in your office, you have this tiger painting
Yes.
in your office. Can you tell me a little bit about that painting?
Oh, I'm glad that we are taking it up here. And actually I also named one of the companies by that name. It is called the Shy Tiger.
Okay.
So that's also one of the companies which was when I was into the food business.
Yeah.
We did cloud kitchens and we had multiple brands running from the same kitchen. And somehow we named it the Shy Tiger.
Yeah.
We were looking for odd and very awkward names actually. That's how the name came at that time. One of the name was like the Blue Rabbit or the Pink Elephant. But then somebody came and said, why not the Shy Tiger?
Yeah.
Because when you say the tiger is always behind the bushes, but he knows what's happening in the jungle. So that's how I could relate myself at that point of time, that though I was not in the forefront, I knew what's happening in the world, and someday I'm going to kind of come out to the jungle and do my hunt.
Yeah.
But the tiger picture is is clicked by one of my very dear friends, Ajit, who's a wildlife photographer, and that picture is of one of a very well-known tigers who just passed away from Ranthambore, and that picture was clicked at a distance of like almost 20 feet.
Yeah.
So he just gifted me that. He said that, MJ, you are a tiger. You always keep on fighting. You always keep on doing something new. You want to kind of reach out there, and you are never afraid about the consequences, and you do that. So he gave me, and he said, the day you place this tiger behind your desk, it will make things happen. Yeah. So that's how
it's
a
very
great
recognition of all the things you have done.
Yes.
We're in the center of Helsinki. I think this is a very familiar place to
yes.
you. There's a, city hall, this Amanda statue. You have visited here before. You are here for many projects, and one of them is Metl Ventures.
Yes.
And you are launching basically venture capital fund in Helsinki. And
yes.
every fund have a story.
Sure.
What is the before the fund launch story? What has taken you here?
It's a great question, and it's a wonderful story. Actually, this is where actually I started my first trip to Helsinki after I got chosen for the Venture Nordics program. I came here the previous day, and this is the place where I came. The fountains, and then of course went to the Loyally Cafe, and then one of my favorite restaurants is out here, the Indian restaurant, where I keep coming every time. And then I remember ending our program at the mayor's office out here, and we have a beautiful
there on
picture
the terrace.
On the terrace. We have a beautiful picture on the terrace out here, and I remember walking through this park almost every day.
Yeah.
It was summer, and we did have performances happening here on the stage at that time, on that particular evening as well. So every time I come here, somehow I end up being here, roaming around this place. And the first thing I did on the previous day was doing the hop on hop off thing.
Oh.
And because that would make me understand a little bit geography about Helsinki, so I don't get lost again. I would know the how the roads work, how things work. So it was just curiosity, and that's what I do whenever we travel. The first thing I do is take a hop on hop off, know the city a little bit more, then you know where to go, what to look forward to.
How do you find the city?
Oh, it is beautiful. It's so much of freshness. It brings me so much of energy, and for me, Helsinki has actually become a habit now. Sometimes, when I just want to come to Helsinki, I find a reason to find work, to meet people, because I just want to be here. The reason is, of course, the quality of air. There's no doubt about it. The beautiful people that I have here. Helsinki has given me great friends, great colleagues. My partners are now from Helsinki. And back there in India, of course, I would not curse India. I love India as well. I'm always going to live there. But the air quality, unfortunately, the pollution, because of the development that's happening, the progress that India is doing is fantastic. But at the same time, it brings in a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
At the same time, a lot of population, it's an advantage. At the same time, sometimes it becomes a lot of chaos. So Helsinki brings my pace down.
Yeah.
So it's like that, the CPU, which is running like 20 windows at a time, and then suddenly when you have just one window to focus upon. So I believe that Helsinki breaks that pace that I work in India, back there in India. When I come here, I am a lot calm, lot more composed, and it gives me a lot of clarity to work. So maybe just even one day in Helsinki helps me rejuvenate. And I would of course talk about my experiences about sauna and jumping into the sea and all of that. But yes, it's a beautiful place, and every place has its own energy.
Yeah.
I think Helsinki has some very, very pure, very green energy. Even though you are like tired on the previous night, the morning you wake up and suddenly it's like you are so fresh to go back and work again.
Yeah, I think Finland in general have this grounding energy
Yes,
here.
yes.
Yeah, we drifted a little bit. Let's go back to Metl Ventures.
No, it's a great question, and one of the reasons it starts with you and Panu, of course. I reach out to you guys over LinkedIn. I remember for the Venture Nordics program, somebody recommended that, okay, here is a program that's happening in Helsinki, and would you want to go and try it? I said, okay, let me just give it a shot. So, going a little bit back to 2017-18, when I just started my journey of angel investments, I write to AngelList because there was no platform in India to start angel investments. Angel investment itself was a very, very new jargon or a term in 2017-18. I go back and I write to AngelList that I want to become an angel investor. What do I do? And at that time, AngelList was just being born in India. They started the India office, and we had Utsav Somani, who was the CEO. I was led to his email. I write to Utsav, and Utsav suggests me that what is my experience, where do I come from. We do a quick phone call, and he says that, okay, let me introduce to this very interesting guy called Vaibhav Domkumar. And Vaibhav had this company called Better Capital. And Better Capital by far today is one of the top solo VCs in India. While we speak, Better Capital was responsible for me to find that unicorn that I found in my portfolio as well.
Did you join in our early stage in this unicorn?
Yes, so extremely early stage. So I knew nothing about investments. I knew nothing about angel investments or fintech or any form of the innovations that were happening. So I had this call with Vaibhav. Vaibhav says, okay, MJ, I'm just going to share you a few startup decks. You can just go through them. If you feel like investing in them, you can be a part of my syndicate and we can do that. That's how my journey started. I started investments from 2018 and till 2022, I did some 70 plus investments step by step. Almost 70% of them were through Vaibhav, through AngelList. Because I was also learning while doing this exercise, and I thought, why not follow the Jason Calacanis style of investing in multiple startups, and you learn how it goes.
You did exactly that.
I exactly did that. But a few investments I remember before joining AngelList was through Micro Ventures and through Seed Invest, which were crowdfunding platforms. And I was very fascinated by this industry of startups. Did not have enough capital to start at that time. And I remember my first investment was just $100 by a credit card. On the crowdfunding platform, right?
Yeah.
So I was so fascinated to see, and I said, okay, $100 is a good amount to forget.
Yeah.
But I'll at least learn how the process works. I was very happy to see my name on the shareholding agreement and all of that stuff. So thanks to that credit card company who allowed me to start this journey, actually, I still hold that investment. It still survived.
Yeah.
So I did some 24 investments via credit card to start with, before AngelList happened.
Yeah.
And then AngelList came. So it was like crowdfunding, then angel investor through a syndicate. And then, in 2019, 19 or 20, I'm forgetting the day, when I was about to give my exam, my test for the pharmaceutical management. I was doing my course, and I received the unit statement from AngelList. It was October, November sometime. And suddenly I see so many zeros in my unit statement.
You had the exit.
And not an exit, but the numbers were there.
Okay.
And I said, suddenly, overnight, what happened?
Yeah.
I don't know about it. How did my portfolio multiply so much?
Oh, yeah.
So I call Vaibhav, super excited, and say, Vaibhav, something is wrong with the unit statement. so many zeros,
Yeah.
which I can't dream of.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, don't you know that Open Bank, which was our very early stage investment, is about to become a unicorn?
Oh.
I said, wow. So that is when I first tasted the success. In a way, I would not say tasted as yet because I had not got that exit at that time. It was 2020 or 21.
Yeah. How many X was that?
Oh, it is, I would really not like to say the number, but it was 150 plus.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Yeah, and that actually talks about the return. So whenever I talk about my history and my MOIC and IRR,
Yeah.
people say, how dare you get this number? How can you get this number in 3.5 years?
Yeah.
But that was the time when the startups were picking up.
Yeah.
That was the time when everybody wanted to get into startups.
Yeah.
So yes, I was very happy in 2021 to look at my portfolio statement. And then I feel, oh, I wish I could have written a larger check.
Yeah, of
right?
course.
And I wish that I was an individual investor.
Yeah.
So that's when that entrepreneurship thing came back again
Yeah.
into me. And I said, okay, how do I make myself more known to startups to reach out to me directly?
Yeah.
So I reached out to a couple of universities, incubation centers who were running their own programs. They took me on board. Today also I'm on board of multiple universities in Ahmedabad. I'm an executive director, non-executive director at the Gujarat Technical University, which does a lot of programs and runs an accelerated program on AI. I am a part of Pandit Deen Dayal University, which is called the PDEU, which is again a very strong incubation center which works on innovations. I'm a part of the VC team, joined multiple other universities like Karnavati and so on and so forth. So that gave me some recognition. Students started understanding me a little bit more. I joined the Chamber of Commerce as a part of the startup committee, and I end up becoming the co-chair of that startup committee, joined TIE, Chartered Member Unit. So that gave me a proper understanding of the innovations that are happening within our city and within the state. We have an SISFS policy, which is called the Startup India Seed Fund Scheme, which was just being launched in 2019-20 at that time. Our state was the first one to launch that. Became a part of the government's panel to be a part of their panel and how I could contribute to the policy, to the students and take it forward. One of the founders whom we had given a grant under the SISFS policy, I met him at Arctic 15 when I came here.
Yeah.
Abhishek Devji Kumar.
Yeah, I remember.
And he is in Helsinki and he found me at Arctic 15 during the program and he suddenly comes from nowhere and says, MJ, and I was wondering, okay, who knows me here?
Yeah.
And then I see that guy, okay, he's the guy whom I was like a part of that panel who gave him that grant, which enabled him to come to Helsinki. So I was so happy to give that contribution, be a part of that whole process. But coming back to 2021-22, my dad being a banker, I go in and show him that, Dad, I am a millionaire. And my dad tells me that, how come you're a millionaire? Show me how much money you have in your bank account. And I said, yeah, that way you are right. I'm not a millionaire as yet. But that prompted me to get into exits. So he told me, and that's why I always say that when he pulled me back, he asked the right questions.
Yeah.
He said, you have to have money in your bank. Because everybody went through COVID at that time. We knew how important cash in your bank is, right? And so no assets would work if you don't have money in the bank. So he said that, where are you going to sell this startup? It is not even listed. So that's when I get prompted to start looking for exits.
Yeah.
And I started looking for family offices, people who were wanting to build the portfolio, because at that time there was a huge FOMO. If you're not investing in startups in India, oh, you're not the right guy. I mean, you're not still there.
Yeah.
So everybody wanted to jump into portfolios. Nobody really wanted to do the hard work. Everybody wanted the right startup. And when people said, MJ, can you find me a good startup for me to invest into? And I used to say, there are no good startups. You need to build them. You need to be a part of their process. That's how you build. Or you end up paying premium for that. So I found a few family offices, few friends who wanted to invest, who suddenly saw, oh, this guy was moving in a small Kia and now he drives a Mercedes. So definitely he's done something which has impacted his life. So that's how I got into that circle. I sold a portion of my portfolio because on AngelList you can't sell individual companies.
Yeah.
till they do it by
You
themselves.
sold some of the shares forward
So
to...
yeah, so I sold a bunch of the portfolio to a few people around. That gave me my capital.
Yeah.
And that's when the urge of doing an AIF came into picture. That I wanted to do my first AIF, Alternative Investment Fund, Category 1. And I was just preparing for my papers, and that is when I learned about Venture
Venture
Nordics.
Nordics.
And it was February of 2024, if I'm not
Yeah, that's us
mistaken.
first time launching Venture Nordics program towards international investors. We were just doing, LinkedIn campaign
Yes.
to test what
Exactly.
the investor
Yeah.
around the world are
Yeah.
interested to come to the Nordics and explore the ecosystem here, ideally build a fund here. That was exactly 2 years ago.
Exactly.
And we found you.
Yes. So that was instrumental. And to be very honest, I was never looking towards Europe. I was very happy with what I was doing. I was about to set up my fund, and I felt that, okay, what next? If I'm going to do a fund in India, there's nothing better than that I would dream of, being a first generation entrepreneur. And I was like, when I was trying to become an angel investor, I was really not very qualified or even accredited, to be put it that way, to become an angel investor, which is now a process that everybody needs to go through. So once you feel that you're not even accredited or you're not qualified investor, hence you start crowd investing, and then you're talking about a large fund. That in itself was a huge achievement for me. So do I be very satisfied, sell my portfolio, look for something new, or do I stick to something that I've been doing? But then I go back to the principles that I wrote. I said, wow, this is actually exactly what I had written. I am doing multiple things. I am up with the innovations. I am with the younger people. So I never feel that I'm not relevant, because that's the fear everybody gets after a certain age. What if I become irrelevant? What if I don't know what's happening around me? Right? Today, a lot of people feel that. A lot of aged people who don't understand how to use ChatGPT or cloud, they feel, oh, we don't know how this is going to work. How are we going to survive the next few years? So being in touch with these universities, these innovations, these incubation centers made me feel very, very relevant and made me feel very, very young. Again, India is the youngest nation of the world. So I still feel young at 50. It's all about the mindset. I don't think that I'm 50 or 51. For me, these are just numbers. But these innovations keep me going.
Yeah.
So Venture Nordics, I read about Venture Nordics, and then I speak to you and Panu. We do this call, and then I'm wondering that should I go, should I not go? Does it make sense for me? But then Finland at that time was the happiest country in the world for the 6th time in a row. I remember that particular year.
Yeah.
6th or 5th time, if I'm not mistaken. It was the 6th time. And then I talk to myself and I say, wow, the happiest country in the world. Let me at least go and explore, if not anything else. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But let me just go and experience how the happiest country in the world is like. And here I am, the happiest person, I would say.
Yeah.
And I remember that Venture Nordic certificate, happiest investor.
Yes.
Right? You guys gave, and that's how you mentioned. So I feel that I wanted to experience the happiest country in the world. When people say that who is the richest man in the world, right? And Elon Musk just became a trillionaire, but is he the happiest person in the world?
I doubt that.
We don't know, right? So how do you measure being the happiest person in the world? It is, at times it's about the life and work balance, that a lot of it is here in Finland, but it's about the experiences. So if somebody asks me that, are you a billionaire? I say, yes, I'm a multi-billionaire. I'm a trillionaire when it comes to experiences. I have lived the best experiences of my life, which brought me here, wherever I am today. At the end of the day, if you're a millionaire or a billionaire, it does not matter, because you're just going to have 2 breads and soup or chicken and whatever for dinner or lunch. It's about how content you are.
Yeah.
It's about how proud you are. It's about how satisfied you are with what you've built for so many years. So yes, I'm very happy. I'm very satisfied where I am.
It's been 2 years since you came for the Venture Nordic program to summer ago.
Yes.
And nowadays you build the Metl Ventures.
Yes.
And you launched last month.
Yes, yes.
So what is Metl Ventures?
So Metl Ventures is a fund. It's fund number 1. We are based out of Luxembourg, but our partners are from Finland. It all started with this journey of Venture Nordics, those 7 days, 8 days, which are the most memorable days of my life. And I remember all the cottage that we went to. The first time I went into a sauna, and Panu putting in that water on those stones, and then coming to me and saying that, MJ, now you need to jump into the sea, and which was very, very cold, I remember. And then you have to do it 3 times in order to experience the whole process. And we had people from multiple geographies. We had people from Switzerland, we had people from Hong Kong, we had people from Singapore, we had friends, and all of them, most of them are in touch right now. So the diversity that Helsinki partners brought in the Venture Nordics program, apart from making us understand the Finnish ecosystem. So that program I vividly remember, and I very strongly remember the first evening was with the FIBAN Angel Network at Maria 01. And Maria 01, a hospital being converted into a startup venture studio or a co-working space. Then we went to Aalto University, to VTT, Nokia Center. We met Tarun at that time, again a fellow Indian, doing fantastic for the ecosystem here, which also gave me a lot of confidence, because when you have people from the same country, it always boosts your energy. Then the Weekend Cottage, then to Tessie, and then we had a lot of presentations happening at the Helsinki Partners office, Bird and Bird, EIC, all of them.
We did the Pechakucha, which everyone
and the Pechakucha
introduced themselves.
And then Arctic 15 happened.
Yeah.
And we were a part of Arctic 15. And then the mayor's evening. What the common thing that I observed and what led to Metl Ventures, it is the foundation that happened during this process. The first thing that happened during Arctic 15, I was very inquisitive about the kind of innovations happening here. And there were some medical device startups, some health tech startups. I look at the pitch deck, and the most common thing that I see in them was nobody had India on their decks as a market. That was my first observation, that why is India missing on these markets? If they are health tech, if they are healthcare, if it is medical devices, India is a 30 billion euro market, 80% importer of these large products, growing with a CAGR of 20%, so much of potential, the most politically stable nation, geopolitically stable nation, the most aggressive when it comes to the growth that is happening in terms of GDP, 6.8%, highest number of youth, and why is nobody looking at India? That was the common question that came out to me. And then I also met a few funds. Post Arctic 15, I come to Latitude 59, then I come to Slush. I get to do a roundtable at Slush. I speak at Latitude 59, again do a roundtable. Again, that's where I start asking to these investors who were pension funds, who were VC funds. A lot of them were raising capital. A lot of them were looking for newer markets. The common question when they were talking about growth in newer markets, my question to the investors was, are you guys looking at India? The common answer that I got at both the ends, from startups and from the investors, was, we want to, but we don't know how to. And we don't know why we are not looking at India. At that time, the current geopolitical situation was not prevailing. So everybody was looking towards US. They were already here in Europe. So nobody was really bothered about India as a market, should we, because everybody was in their comfort zones. Right? So this thing led me to thinking that this is a huge gap. That's when we identified the gap between the medical devices, health tech space, between India and the other part of the world. Post that, when we went to Tessie, and I remember I was to set up a fund in India, as I mentioned earlier, and then Tessie says that we are very happy to support emerging fund managers with a certain amount of capital, provided they set up the fund in Europe and preferably Finland. Yeah. Now, Tessie is a sovereign wealth fund kind of set up by the Finnish government here, and that gave me a lot of confidence, because back there in India, everybody was raising capital, everybody was doing their own AIFs. Gift City was just coming up, where everybody was setting up their AIF, and Gift City again is a fantastic destination for international diaspora investors, the investment community to come there. It's an international financial center that's coming up just nearby our city. And then India had already won the contract, or the not the contract, but we got qualified to do the Commonwealth Games for 2030, and my city is the host now. So I was also looking at the progress that India was going to do, my city was going to do at that time, Gift City coming up, so many funds coming up. So I realized that if I do a fund as an emerging fund manager, there'll be 10 other files lying on the table of the family office or the investor I go to. And what qualification do I have except for my angel investment portfolio, which was great, but at the end of the day, it was supposed to be my first fund. So I thought that if Tessie is supporting something like this, and if it's such a beautiful environment, why not explore something in Europe? So that is what actually fed, that was the foundation when I started thinking about Europe. And then I do, like, every 2 months I'm here. I was here for the Nordic Summit, I come to Latitude 59, then to Slush, and then to multiple such events. And suddenly people start watching me. Oh, he was here last month. Oh, he's here back again. And I remember some investors coming to me and telling, hey, do you live in Helsinki? I said, no, I almost live in Helsinki. I wish I could. But that's when I started knowing the ecosystem. People were very warm, welcoming. And then the last nail was, or the cherry on the cake was when we met the mayor here. And he asked a very beautiful question when we were all leaving, that, friends, what do you think, that where should we improve upon when it comes to like a city and hosting you guys? And I was amazed to the humbleness of that gentleman. I don't remember his name right now because we have a new mayor now. But I thought how humble people are. You are the happiest country in the world for 6, 7, 8, 9 years in a row, and still you have the humility and the humbleness to ask that question, how can we improve, right? So that made me feel that, okay, this is a beautiful place where people respect each other, respect each other's time, values. And that's how, then I remember you writing me an email and introducing me to Will Cardwell, who is the founder of Courage Ventures. He had set up a fund, Open Circle, in Lithuania. Then he was doing Courage Ventures. And then post-COVID, they had done a few investments and they were still in the ecosystem. So I reached out to Will and I talked to Will about the thesis. That, Will, you are also into medtech, healthtech. How about adding the India thesis to it? He speaks to Mary Alaranta. Mary now lives in Luxembourg, but she is a Finnish person. She has her home in Helsinki. Will is an American living in Finland for 30 years. Right? And I am the Indian living in India, working in India, but trying to bridge this gap. So we, all three of us, felt that this is a great way to build something jointly in different geographies. And that's how I became part of the team. And that's how Metl Ventures was born. Luxembourg, we were looking at Finland, but then a lot of investors who come from Europe and other part of the world, they feel that Luxembourg is a gold-plated value, and the reliability and the stability and the transparency when it comes to funds. So we wanted that we don't want to go and sell that, okay, we are so transparent, we have a very good fund in place, we have good ecosystem, and then we said, why not have the best location? Though we knew that for a first fund, it's going to be a little bit expensive for us, but then we are not here just to do one fund. We are here to do multiple funds. We don't know what we are going to do next, maybe much larger fund, though we are just starting. So that's how Metl Ventures was born. Luxembourg was chosen as we speak. We've just started raising. I meet, and we actually have an anchor investor from Finland right now, which gave me a lot of confidence. And it's a city which is wanting to grow, a city which is wanting to lift their ecosystem. And that is what is the highlight of our fund, that our first anchor investor is the whole city council, the amount of trust that they put into us, which is also helping us raise capital now wherever we go. When we quote this, They are amazed. How can a city invest in you guys? But that's the trust that we brought with the thesis that we have.
Yeah. What are the other projects
Yeah.
you're building here in Finland and connecting India with the Nordics?
One thing I did not mention when I talked about my experiences, because that was all about entrepreneurship. But when you say, MJ, who are you? Then I'm not just an entrepreneur. I'm not just a fund manager. I'm also a human being who has several passions. One of my passions is photography. One of my passions is media. So I started my photography exactly on 5th of September 2005. And I wanted to become a wildlife photographer. So I go to a friend of mine, I pick up his camera, and I go to the jungles and I start shooting animals. And I realize, oh, it's a difficult job to find the right shot, the right animals at the right time. You need a lot of time, you need the right equipments and all of that stuff. So slowly I come now to shooting people and life. From that I got into emotions and children. So I start shooting children as a subject. I start somehow the way, I always say that I'm a mother's child, right? The way my mom brought me up when I was young enough, and she would always, she's the one who taught us humanity. She's the one who taught us how to respect people. She taught us how to treat people in the same way that you would want to be treated. And I remember in the most difficult times of my life, when I was like, kind of, I would not say shattered, but it was a difficult time. And I go back to my mom and I tell her, and that was when I did not have one of a very good experiences in business at that time. And I go back to her and say, Mom, should I ever trust people? And she told me that, MJ, why don't you go back? So she used to call me Milu. That's my other name. So she said that, why don't you go back to where you started and where you are today? So have you made enough name and money for yourself, or have you lost? What does your balance sheet say? And I say, I've gained more than what I've lost. She said that that's the right story. If you gained, irrespective of the challenges that you had, by trusting people, you should keep on trusting people, just keep doing that. And she said, just be who you are. So that I always remember whenever I'm supposed to trust people, to make new friends, make new partners, I go back and say, okay, let me trust them. Let me just go back with what my gut says. And that's the lesson that I remember from her. So I start shooting people, children. I happen to work with the FAO on the food project with World Bank. I got a chance to shoot some pictures in 2007. Luckily in 2005, I get the best photographer award of my state. And it was a lucky shot. I never knew that was going to happen. So that gave me confidence. I think I'm able to, capture good narratives. I'm able to capture a good story. So every picture that I shoot, or the moment that I capture, I feel that it has to tell a story. It should not be just a picture which is fantastic, which has a very good light coming up or very good aperture or focus. The picture, irrespective of the technicality of it, should tell the right story. So that's when I do my first book. It is called Hope. And Hope was on the street kids of my city, and who were like begging casually, and how do you bring a change in them? That album led me to doing a short documentary on them, which is on the street kids of my city again. So somehow I used to bend towards the society issues, subjects, tell stories out of that. And then one fine day I was very fascinated by a schizophrenic guy. And I think, why not go to the mental hospital and start clicking pictures there? So I go to the mental hospital, with the only, as a photographer curiosity, that I'm going to find some crazy guys doing some crazy things. I'm going to capture those moments. I start clicking those pictures, and then I realize, oh, I want to tell more about them. It is much more than just the guy banging the doors or sitting in the window or shouting or laughing or jumping and doing anything in that situation. So I end up doing a short documentary, and I did my diploma in filmmaking at that time. So every time I do something, I get into that thing and I study later. So if you remember my agriculture, I did my agricultural diploma in agri-entrepreneurship. Then I get into filmmaking and photography. I do my diploma in filmmaking. I get into pharma. I studied pharma. I got into VC. I studied the private equity side of it. So it's like experience first and then calibrate yourself with the education. Somehow it's become a pattern. I never chose it to be that way, but that's how
You
it
want
became.
to be better. So.
Yeah, I just wanted to improvise. So I end up doing this film, and I realized how lucky we are as human beings. We at times sulk. We are always complaining about what we don't have. We don't have that gratitude. We are never thankful to God to say, thank you, God, for making me live one more day in this beautiful environment. There are so many small things that we forget, and it made me realize the power of communication. When you go to mental hospitals, they don't know, the schizophrenics don't know what they're speaking, what they're talking about. And then when you go back home, you have your grandparents trying to speak to you, and then you suddenly realize, oh, my grandmom is trying to communicate with me, and how come I'm ignoring her? There are people in this mental hospital where there's nobody to come and speak to them. But anyway, it's a different story altogether. But that made me understand people. That made me understand human relationships, the value of human relationships, value of body language. So whatever I do, whenever I meet somebody, it's a combination of body language, psychology, experience. That I feel that makes me people understand a little bit more at depth rather than just having a very transactional relationship.
Yeah.
So I'm not a very transactional person, to be very honest. I can't be that. I would not say I'm not. Somehow I try to be that, and that's not a very good rule for a VC, because you become emotional in the process. You get connected with people. You know, I would want to call you and congratulate you when you had your second kid, and otherwise, not many would want to do that, right? You don't want to build or create a bond. So photography happened. We happened to do our first film festival in 2008, 2009 in our city, which was the Ahmedabad International Film Festival, where we brought in multiple films from multiple countries to our city. And then in 2017, I get an opportunity to produce a film. I produced my first film, which premiered at the Busan Film Festival then, and which we ended up selling to an OTT platform, which gave us some bit of money. So passion, actually, it was like, okay, I'll invest some amount of the capital that I made, and once it's done, it's done. I'll no more take that as a form of business. But then one film happened, the second happened, the third happened. I ended up producing 7 different films in 3 different languages, went to Busan, went to Berlin Film Festival, went to London to showcase our first film in Hindi. And that also made me understand how the festival process works, how the cinema is taken to the film festivals, how do you again create value in that process. And then I set up a company like iRoller Capital. We have iRoller Media and Entertainment, and suddenly it became my fuel, my driver to keep on doing things more, make me understand more and more people, meet more people. And then in 2023, I get invited by a show which was happening in India, similar to Shark Tank. It was called Horses Stable, and I get invited to be one of the juries as an investor. And I asked them that, why don't you come to our state and I'll help you with the logistics, the cost and all of it. And they were very happy to do that. So I prepare for them. I bring in a few startups. I help support them to bring in a few investors on board to help them reduce the cost of production. Somehow, for some reasons, that show did not pick up, and we had prepared everything. And then my brother and one of my team members, they come to me and say, MJ, we've prepared so much, why don't we make our own show? I said, wow, that's a fantastic idea. So that's how we ended up doing our show. It's called Kal Ke Crorepati. It's like, in English, it's like Tomorrow's Millionaires. So when we ended up doing that First show, I again became a founder in that way because we got no sponsorships and we were trying to figure out what the best way to make it happen. We did our second season, which was in Jio Hotstar, 480 million subscribers. We bring in family offices, VCs, and bring in startups from tier 2, tier 3 cities and help them get that stage of fundraising. And now we are doing our third season. I partnered with Venture Builders, where I'm a board member, who are India's largest venture builders today, and taking that as a part of our process and utilizing media as a platform to amplify, to make our startups known, not necessarily our own startups, but many others. So media suddenly became a very integral part of the ecosystem that I'm building. So we end up doing this Kal Ke Crorepati season 2, and now Venture Builder, who's our partner, who now own the IP. I sold the IP to them, so that was an exit for me from an IP perspective also. And now it's a national show, again, to be showcased on Jio Hotstar. My role with Kal Ke Crorepati still remains to take it at a global level. So we plan to do the same architectural model now in Europe. It may be Finland, you never know. We are talking to a few people. But in August, because you spoke about media, I get invited to be on the jury of the IME happening, as semi-finals happening at Tampere. And that's when, somebody like you, I'm very close to Fanny Heinonen, she's from Tampere, and Maria Kivinen from Norski Productions. Maria invites me, I meet Fanny and Arto, make new friends in Tampere. Again, I go there and suddenly I see the same gap like I saw with the healthtech and the medtech in the media space. And that's when I start talking to a few agencies, few people, partners out here with whom we are doing our projects. So we had made a film in India, it's called Bicycle Thief. And now Bicycle Thief is being represented by Maria Kivinen from Norski, from Helsinki. She is representing us in Europe and North America. So that's my first distribution project with Europe and with Helsinki.
When can we see Bicycle Thief movie in cinema here?
Absolutely. We are working with potential partners to do a theatrical release, and we will very soon have that announcement happening here. I also met Olli Rundgren and Peter Westerbacka and Kusta, who were working on Rally Pitch. And Rally Pitch is an extraordinary show in which a startup pitches for 3 minutes in a car with a car rally champion driver. And that's about checking the temperament and the character of the founder. Yeah. So they were doing, and they're now doing this event on 29th of July in Jyväskylä, which is a very, very large event. And I now happen to partner with them. We are their Indian counterparts as well. We are taking Rally Pitch to India, doing a similar setup out there. And then I'm also helping them build the strategy at a very global level in multiple countries, how to build Rally Pitch, how to create an accelerated program out of that, how to take that on television, and how to create a larger IP.
Are you taking Indian companies here to join the Rally Pitch?
We are actually taking Rally Pitch to India.
Okay.
So we will have multiple companies and multiple startups in India doing a similar setup like Rally Pitch in India. So it would be Rally Pitch India, it would be Rally Pitch Saudi Arabia, it will be Rally Pitch Germany. That's how we are trying to build the whole model. And Peter was back in India. He was kind enough to have an invitation. So we also had a lot of Finnish people coming to India and exploring the India potential. So media, it's now building up. We are bridging the IP gap between India and Europe because of the geopolitical situation. Every country is to find a new good partner. EU and India have the mother of all deals. The Finnish Prime Minister and the President are very popular in India. Alexander Stubbs, so he's like an amazing guy. Modi is very popular here. We have a fantastic Indian diaspora over here. And I feel that India is very well positioned today with Finland as a very good friendship network. And Business Finland in particularly now in India, Gita Perez, who's leading Business Finland in India and the Middle East and now consulting, Sid Naithani. I'm just taking all of these names because these people have been very instrumental in the process to help me build this bridge as well.
Yeah. So it's been only 2 years, and you have
Oh,
built
yes.
so much. You have expanded media business, built
Yeah.
a lot of collaboration in the media. You are launching your film here in the Nordics.
Yes.
You're launching a fund here.
Yes.
How is it possible you have built so much things in such short time? What's the
Sorry?
secret?
Oh, secret. Secret is, it's a very simple word, is the character of what I am, a child. And I feel that I say a child because it talks about the curiosity and to learn and know more. It's within, a child comes up with a very open mind without worrying about the consequences, what will happen, what are the risks, so on and so forth. So I feel I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a traveler. Rather than the destination, I enjoy the journey. I feel that Europe is a journey that I would want to do. I would want to explore it more and more. More than the financial side of it, it helps me explore how much more you can do in one life. So I believe the 3 F's of my life: film, finance, food. So you never know, I set up a restaurant, Indian restaurant, somewhere in Europe,
be.
maybe Helsinki.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are the 3 F's that keep me going. So curiosity and childlike characteristic, which if
Patience.
one has, you're there.
Yeah. You already talked a little bit about it, but I still want to ask you a final question. So why did you choose Finland for all these projects?
I don't know if I chose Finland or Finland chose me. Right?
Or you just meet each other?
It is destiny. I would not say so. Finland, a lot of people say that, and actually Venture Nordics says that Finland is entry to Europe. Now actually being in Finland, and then Panu again playing that role. Panu meets another partner of mine now who is in Basel in Switzerland and at the World Economic Forum. And Panu talks about me doing something in Finland, and that fellow reaches out to me that, hey MJ, can we meet, can we talk? So that led me to Zurich in March at the EIIS summit, which is again building the India-Europe bridge. And I meet so many different people from Switzerland. So that helped me expand a little bit more than Finland. Now Finland is also become my entry to Switzerland. Finland also led me to Latitude 59, which is Estonia. Litsa, the founder of Latitude 59, we've been in touch, and now Latitude 59 wants to come to India. So you never know,
Because
right?
of you.
She is wanting to, and
Okay.
potentially we would be the bridge if we are able to kind of crack that.
Cool.
So there is so much, everybody wants to come to India. The fear of complexity, the fear of diversity is there. But at the end of the day, if you have the right people, the right partners, whom we say we are, and if there is no complexity, there is no moat. We say that is our moat, because we know how to simplify that complexity and that diversity. So bridging the Europe-India gap in whatever form, whatever sectors we could do, we can't do everything at the end of the day. But what we are best at with the existing team that we have, the existing partners that we have over here, very happy to do that. And hopefully you'll have a very successful story coming out of this, inspirational story, bringing more people from India to Finland, Finland to India. Let's see how it goes. Very excited.
I think we're done with all the questions.
Super. Excellent.
Really great. There's so much
Good
I have learned about.
conversation.
I know. There's so much I've learned about you beyond what we have been talking for 2
Yeah,
years
yeah,
and
yeah.
in different ways. And
I know. Appreciate your time. Thank you. And it could not have been any other than you actually doing this conversation, because you've known me from that time.
yeah.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank
Super
you.
excited.
Thank you for sharing all of this.